Hello, this is Tom and Chris. We're those film guys, and welcome back to our Batmarathon. This time, we're going to be reviewing Batman Forever, the first outing of Joel Schumacher.
Yes.
And we have to start with Tim Burton being kicked out for making a dark, or what people thought was a dark Batman film in Batman Returns, but my view was that it wasn't really dark, more silly than anything, but they decided against it, so in comes Joel Schumacher.
Who wanted a more family-friendly, kid-friendly Batman.
Yeah. Oh my... Yeah, they wanted to make a more kid-friendly Batman. And you can really see the change in tone, like drastic. It's become more campy. Well, I think it started with Batman Returns, but this sort of made it more campy. And I don't know where to start. Because This thing is undoubtedly bad, but I do like it. It's so bad I quite enjoy it.
I absolutely have a seething hatred for this film. But tainted my love of the Batman character, the Batman mythos, everything I cared about Batman's just destroyed. I hate it.
But I would like to say this is the first, in my opinion, the first Batman film, or the first live-action one, to actually try something with Batman by including Robin as a sort of as a parallel to Batman,
oh, yes.
Batman's character. And I think it didn't work, but I like that they tried, whereas Burton didn't do anything. At least they tried.
I will acknowledge that they tried to flesh out the character of Bruce Wayne and Batman in this film. But where my problem lies is that whilst that aspect of the film is good, it's offset by a completely drastic change in tone, and the film just doesn't seem to know what it wants to be, and for that reason that's why this film is an abomination in my eyes, in that it couldn't choose what it wanted to be.
I wouldn't say abomination.
Oh, I would.
I mean, it's not abominably bad as Transformers.
That's true.
But I can understand that. But I mean, I find that yes, it's campy and it's sort of a throwback to sort of 60s Batman, which audiences have matured up since. Well, no, what am I saying? It's that was a satire. This is trying to be or wants to be. In fact, I don't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know what it wants to be, and that's the problem. There, it didn't. It wanted to please everyone. And it didn't, and it couldn't. It sat on the fence and didn't know what it wanted to be. Whether Schumacher wanted it differently, or the studios wanted it differently, or wanted it more kid-friendly, is, that's a complete mystery to me.
I think the director, Joel Schumacher, did want to make it darker because, as I've said before we started recording, a lot of scenes that did flesh out the character and give it a more darker tone were cut from the film, which would have made it at least an average Batman film if they would have kept in, because you would have still obviously had the campy humour, but instead the tone we don't get these scenes of character development. Instead what we get is a bright neon-filled Gotham. We get wacky cartoon hitting sound effects, and the new musical score, whilst it's okay. It's a big step down from Danny Elfman's dark and brooding theme from the other two.
Yeah. In terms of new, we get a new Batman in Val Kilmer. Now, I'm not the biggest Val Kilmer fan.
Neither am
I don't particularly think he's that special an actor, but and he's not particularly special here. It's very routine for his Batman, or his portrayal of Batman. It seems like he was maybe trying to replicate Keaton, but it doesn't quite work. I'm not sure, but I'm not really a fan of Val Kilmer anyway, so my sort of perception of his Batman was kind of hindered because of that.
Yeah, I think I'm the same really, because obviously Keaton didn't want to return to the film if Tim Burton's involvement, if he wasn't going to be involved in the film. Val Kilmer, I think he's awful as Batman. I think he's absolutely terrible in the role of that character. As Bruce Wayne, he's not awful, he just seems really wooden and one note, and he just seems really unenthusiastic in his role. And that kind of worked for the Keaton. I know you dislike this aspect about the character, but the Keaton kind of hermit-like, silent, weird kind of rich guy. But here it's just, I don't know how to explain it really. He just didn't seem like he was that enthralled to be playing this character.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Bruce Wayne character, not Batman, Bruce Wayne, I don't think that worked at all in the live-action films up until Begins. Begins was, in my opinion, where they got Bruce Wayne as a person, as a facade, right.
Yeah, I agree.
Here, and in previous films, it hasn't been it hasn't been an altered persona to Batman. It hasn't been split. Because Batman is like what Bruce wants to be, but he has to put on an image of being this grand sort of billionaire, party goer, and it doesn't feel like that at all in the previous films, and it doesn't feel like that here, and that's a big problem where you they still haven't got Bruce Wayne right. And Kilmer, I think, is worse than Keaton as Batman and as Bruce Wayne. I didn't like Keaton's Bruce, but Kilmer's Bruce is just is worse. He does seem very bored, like he's there to sort of pick up a check. I didn't like Kilmer in this in Forever. Like you said, it seems like he is bored. It looks like he's bored.
And I don't know whether that was meant to be his character, in that obviously he's been through this ordeal. I said the same for Keaton, but in that I kind of believed it. In this one I didn't. And I'm not sure whether that's just because I don't like Val Kilmer as an actor, or, as we've said, if it was just because he wanted a paycheck and he thought he could just, not focus on the Bruce Wayne character as they're not important.
Yeah, but then we're this whole film is about new things. We also get a new Two-Face or a new Harvey Dent.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones.
In Tommy Lee Jones, like what on earth were they thinking? With Tommy Lee Jones. Like, Tommy Lee Jones is a really, really good actor. Yep. But they don't utilise him.
If they'd have gone with the dark tone in this, Tommy Lee Jones could have been an amazing Harvey Dent Two-Face. But instead, we get this cackling Joker knockoff. In fact, both of the villains in this film could be argued as Joker knockoffs.
They could. And actually, there's a funny thing about Tommy Lee Jones. When I was younger, I couldn't tell the difference between Tommy Lee Jones and Sam Neill.
Okay.
Just thought I'd put that out there.
Just trying to imagine Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face in Jurassic Park right now.
That would have been a totally different film. Maybe
that would have scared the dinosaurs off.
It'd scare anybody off, that makeup.
Yeah, and the costume, he has this like business suit on one side, and on the other side he has like cerise and like leopard skin print. Just what were they thinking with the costumes in this film?
Yeah.
And in fact,
so
the first Two-Face scene in this film, when he's got that security guard on the floor, that scene's okay. It's he's over the top as usual, and it completely betrays the character, but that scene is tolerable, and if they'd have kept that tone throughout, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. But as soon as that scene, he constantly flips the coin all the time.
Oh yeah, he does. And that security guard scene, he flips it, but then he alters. He does what he wants anyway, but he sort of uses the security guard as bait or something, so that he's basically getting what he wants. So he's not really using the coin at all. It's there for show. That's what it felt like. That's what this film felt like. It was a big show, and everybody was part.
And our other villain, who was opposite Two-Face in this film, we had Jim Carrey as the Riddler, who is probably the only thing in this film I actually kind of like.
It is Jim Carrey. This is how I see Jim Carrey in this film. If you've seen one Jim Carrey performance, you've pretty much seen them all in terms of his comedy films. He's not. His only good serious role was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That is his only good serious film. In terms of his comedic films, you've seen one Jim Carrey, you've seen them all. This is no different from any of his other performances. And yeah, it is basically Jim Carrey playing himself.
No, I love Jim Carrey. I love all his... I'm much more partial to his comedy films than I am to his serious roles. I've never seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, so I can't comment on that. But here, he played the character as the character was known. Obviously, it's not the Riddler image I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked the much more methodical representation as in the later incarnations. But here, it's okay. It's very reminiscent of Frank Gorshin's 1960s performance, which fits in with the tone. And yes, he's over the top, and yes, it gets irritating at some points, but he's the only one who seems to at least be trying in their performance.
It seems like a routine Jim Carrey film or Jim Carrey performance, and that's kind of, I want to see something else.
Yeah.
Other than Jim Carrey, I want him to play, act, do what he's paid to do, and that's act. And I don't think he acts in this.